last time out, Buddy Simpson raced at home for the first ever time. Nothing went wrong, so he rounds the final corner to finish in P9 on the road that is going to become P10 once all the penalties are applied. However, in his personal life, things had taken a turn for the worse. Buddy had been residing with his girlfriend and her dad, but after his dad shattered a window and shattered his girlfriend's TV, he had to contend with this news.
What I'm saying is, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. He came and smashed the window. I know him. He will come again, and who knows what he could do.
Here's what happened when he did so.
Front door open.
Well, look who it is. Hello, son. Oh, you're not going to talk to me, are you? Or you can be quiet all your life, you're still going to be out of Formula 1 soon.
But he didn't have to stay home for long, as it was time for him to head off to the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So, it's the final race before the summer break, and it was going to be an interesting one for Buddy. I mean, he'd had a struggle in the past race. I mean, Silverstone was an okay race then, but it wasn't great for him. To be honest, he was lucky to be in the points, and obviously the past two races, for reasons that some of them were through no fault of his own, were fairly poor, but he's hoping to bounce back fully in this Hungarian Grand Prix. So it was going to be an interesting race for him, as you can see, in terms of engine mileage. As I've said many times, it is likely that Buddy is going to have to take a penalty later in the season, but it looks like he's tactically going to use that penalty in Monza, as this would give him a brand new engine, brand new components, on a track where they could be vital, that could actually do him better than starting the midfield with an worn engine. So, but for this race, it's not a very power sensitive track, so no new engine needed. He's actually using some fairly old components for this race. But after an interesting weekend of practice, it is now time for the qualifying report. So, as the first part of the season drew to a close, qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix was about to get underway. Both Saubers locked out the back row once again, but it was Ericsson ahead of Wehrlein. Despite the circuit not exposing the Honda weaknesses, McLaren struggled. Danny Kvyat continued to impress. Both Hasses made Q3 for the first time this season. Felipe Massa qualified 9th whilst Lance Stroll was disappointed with 16th. Buddy Simpson was delighted to qualify in a career best P5. Force India struggled as neither car could make Q3. The Red Bulls endured a reasonable session with Verstappen 4th and Ricciardo 6th. Lewis Hamilton was disappointed to just miss out on pole, whilst it was Sebastian Vettel who returned to pole for Ferrari. So, taking a look at the grid for round 11, it's Vettel on pole, a 10th ahead of Hamilton in 2nd. In 3rd on the grid, it's Hamilton's teammate Valtteri Bottas ahead of Max Verstappen in 4th. A delighted Buddy Simpson qualified in 5th, ahead of Ricciardo in 6th, with Kimi Raikkonen starting in 7th after a grid penalty. Grosjean starts 8th ahead of Kvyat, Magnussen, Hulkenberg and Massa. Perez starts in 13th ahead of Sainz and Ocon. Alonso, Stroll and Van Dorn, with the two Saubers rounding out the grid in 19th and 20th for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are three big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
So, Buddy stars in qualifying once again, starting well at the sharp end of the grid, starting in P5 on the grid, which is an utterly fantastic qualifying for him. I mean, really, he pulled out all the stops on that qualifying lap that he did, it was a mega lap. But obviously, as you can see, it's completely different conditions in the race. It is pouring with rain. Well, it's not pouring really. I mean, it could be slick weather later on, but it looks like it's really on the edge. As you can see on the formation lap, Buddy's just getting a feel for the car. It's not raining heavily, but damp enough for inters. So as you can see, they are all lining up on the grid, ready to go here in Hungary. As you can see, Buddy's going to have a longer wait than usual, but that's a good thing. It's a nice problem to have, because that means you're in a good starting position in P5 on the grid for Buddy Simpson. As you can see, he hits his marks, ready to get going. As you can see, ahead of a Red Bull and a Ferrari. This is unfamiliar territory to Buddy Simpson, but he really pulled out all the stops in qualifying, so he had his best qualifying. So now what he needed to do was to translate it into a good result in the race. As you can see, we have the lights in Hungary. Lights out, away we go. And Buddy gets a reasonable launch off the line. It starts to bog down a little bit. As you can see, Ricciardo and Grosjean, who always gets good starts in this career mode, we're being swarmed over. We got a really bad second phase of the start. As you can see, we're just biding our time. We've got Magnussen up the inside. It's kind of hard for everyone to have space, but Kvyat is the one that has to back off. Now heading into turn 2, we're going to see if we can find a gap on the inside. Magnussen having a little bit of oversteer, but we have made that move stick. So not our best start, to be honest, but 8th is good. As you can see, Kevin Magnussen is trying it round our outside. That's not going to work at turn 4, but at the end of, we're kind of halfway through the first lap, and Buddy is unfortunately down into 8th place, but it's a long race, so a lot can happen. Really not much happened in the first 9 laps. We were just spending time doing a bit of, you know, fuel saving. But as you can see, Ricciardo ahead is really struggling for pace. I really do not know what was going on with him, and Raikkonen could not find a way past. Obviously, with it being wet conditions, there was no DRS. So, we're going to get the exit off of the final corner. As you can see, starting lap 10, we're good on the fuel right now, but we're not really close enough. But Raikkonen has to brake very early, and we see a gap, and we take it. Good move there from Buddy. So we are up into P7. So now having a look at the replay, as you can see, Raikkonen broke very early, and then Buddy just thought, right, I'm going in. And he made the pass stick with ease. In the early stages of this race, Ricciardo appeared to be dealing with some sort of issue. It was really not clear what it was. But as you can see, Buddy has the run on Daniel Ricciardo, and he's going to send one up the inside heading into turn 1, and he has made that move stick. Ricciardo putting up little fight there. That P6 would become P5 as a few cars came into the pits. As you can see, Raikkonen has the run, and he's able to get down the inside heading into the third to last corner. So Raikkonen unfortunately has gotten back past us. Kimi began to pull away and chase after Grosjean, but now heading into turn 4, and as you can see, that is Kimi there, who has lost it. We only just avoid him. We would remain ahead until lap 35, when we were really struggling on our tyres, and we pitted for the first time. Buddy wasn't happy with that strategy. Guys, I think we stayed out too long. surely we're going to be undercut here. So as you can see, Buddy coming into the pits. Obviously for a new set of the Inters. I mean, a switch to slicks was considered, but everyone else was staying out on the Inters, so we decided we were in a good position, so it was too much of a risk to go for the slick tyres, because we could be, if it went wrong, we could be throwing away points. As you can see, we have actually been undercut by Felipe Massa, who we are behind. Now heading into the third to last corner, but Massa all of a sudden brakes on the racing line. We've damaged our front wing slightly, and obviously Buddy was a bit concerned. Come on, he brake tested me. What the heck? I think I've got a bit of damage to the wing. It should be fine to continue, but what? You can't just brake test like that. The initial plan was to go to the end on this second set of intermediate tyres, but then everyone else began to pit early, and then we figured that we'd be having to contend with cars a lot faster and our tyres would be dead at the end of the race, so it'd be hard to defend. So we decided to make a second pit stop in response to that on lap 51. So as you can see, we're into the pits for hopefully our final pit stop. Not going to change the wing because it really wasn't causing much harm to the pace. As you can see, we have actually been undercut again by Felipe Massa, who we could have overtaken easily, but as you can see in the bottom right corner, have the engine menu up, the engine and all the components are very worn, and we were struggling to keep the gap in check. We couldn't catch up to the Williams, and we were actually losing out to our teammate Nico Hulkenberg, and we were quite under pressure from him in the closing laps. But as you can possibly tell on the mini-map, and as you can see now, Hulkenberg has actually retired. And not only that, it's a shame for him, our teammate, the safety car is deployed. But because we were just about to be lapped, it was going to be very hard to catch up to the queue and actually be behind the likes of Massa. But Kvyat has already been lapped, so we'd actually pull away. So now we're looking at P8 worst case if we finish. As you can see, the safety car is coming in this lap, and it seems that it has come in now, and obviously we weren't able to catch up to the field because obviously we were almost a lap behind the leader. But we are in a safe P8 right now, and that is where we would eventually end up finishing. As you can see, we are rounding the final corner onto the pit straight to finish the race in P8. To be honest, not the most exciting race for us, but P8 for Buddy, and as you can see in the result, Buddy finishes in P8, so a reasonable end to the first part of the season. Just going to explain, this series will now take a quick hiatus over the Christmas break. This has been the plan all along, to get to Hungary before Christmas and then have like a 3 or 4 week break during that period, and then start back up again with the Belgian race in mid-January. This is mainly so I can have a bit of a break and also get some new material for the final part of the season together. But as you can see, it's Valtteri Bottas who wins, and it was a very interesting race that Buddy endured. It was expected to be a tough one considering our current engine mileage, but we were still able to wrestle a P8 out of this. As you can see, here is the podium, and Buddy's championship position is unchanged from this race. Obviously still behind Grosjean Massa, who to be honest should be his targets in the back end of the season. But as the champagne sprays on the podium, Buddy Simpson has impressed in the first part of the season. But the big question was, would he continue that momentum in the second half of the season? Be sure to tune in starting in January 2018 to find out.